Broads Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. It's a football Friday without any football on Sunday, which sucks, but we're getting there. We're moving along. It went quicker than I thought it would. The first week I thought would be tougher on the mind, mentally, and physically too, because I'd be staying up late, watching all the mic'd up content, watching all the extended highlights on repeat. But you know what? I did all right. I did okay. And all we got to do is get through this weekend, and then it is game week, and we are ready for the Super Bowl. There's some things, though, to discuss. Some of it's actually about the division, believe it or not, because Jerry Jones won't stop running his mouth. What an idiot this guy is. What a clown and a dope. Talk about having no sense of knowledge on what's going on around him. If I was a Cowboys fan and I heard what he was saying the other day, I'd be in tears knowing we are screwed. With that, the Giants running their mouth. And Nick Sirianni, I guarantee you, he's going to use that for motivation to his team. Do you see what they're saying about me? They don't believe I can coach you. They don't believe that I know what I'm doing. Oh, yeah? We'll be walking out of Arizona with a damn Lombardi, and we're going to shove it in their face. I love it. Keep on running that mouth. Keep on talking that trash. Because so far, every time another team has brought something up, just based off of what I'm watching, the Eagles have used that to their advantage. So keep on, baby. But this is where I want to start. I want to start with the veteran core, the veteran group. Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and how much this means to the team. Them being here already. Them doing this before. Them going through this experience. There's some young guys in this room. Even Hurts, who we know has poise and is calm and seems ready for the moment. This upcoming week is going to be different. The media attention. Going through your practice schedule with everything surrounding it. You can say it's another week all you want. You can say we're preparing for just another game all you want, but because you're out of your element and all these little things you have to deal with add up to realizing that this isn't just week 14. It's not week 12. It's not a game at the link. Going through this is added pressure. And there's guys who have done it and been doing it. And same with Kansas City. They have an advantage in that spot. But I love the fact that these guys are not just a part of this team. Because there's a difference between being a part of this team and then being a reason why you're having success when you're talking about a core group that's been here forever. For example, you go look at the Miami Heat. Haslam's still on the bench. Brandon Graham tore his Achilles and got double-digit sacks. Lane Johnson still hasn't given up a sack in years. Jason Kelce's the best center in football. Fletch, he's definitely risen to the betterment of the squad. The better side is probably a better way to put it. He's taken a step since Howie made an acquisition, multiple acquisitions, so he didn't have to play 70 snaps in one football game. It's impressive to me that you're still relying on these players to be why you are in this position. They're not just hanging on by playing extra years so they could be a Philadelphia Eagle or they could be some sort of locker room presence. Their locker room presence, and this is no disrespect to Nick Sirianni, but I think that allows Nick Sirianni to get away with being him. And that doesn't mean it can't work without them. But we talk about in coaching all the time. Let players be who they are. Let them show their personality. It can't go too far, though. There's got to be a limit within the team's eye and within what the team wants to be. But you got to let them be them. Having the relationship with Nick Sirianni and the team with these core veterans, it makes it easier because it is different and it is goofy. Let's say, hypothetically, you didn't have these vets. And instead, it was a 21-year-old, a 23-year-old, and a 24-year-old. I think it's different. Once again, doesn't mean it doesn't work. But I think it has to be shifted a bit. They allow Sirianni to be Sirianni. Jason Kelce in the beginning of the year had to tone down the head coach publicly. He looked at the media in the eyes and talked about how we have to kind of calm it down a little bit. Bring it back in, reel it back in. And then now those same players are leading you to a championship? It's incredible. Fletch had to deal with adversity. This wasn't easy for him. So did BG, by the way. Physically and emotionally, going through that type of damage to his Achilles and balling out. But Fletch this year was getting so much heat. He was getting so much hate. And he said, forget it. You're going to remember that I can be Fletcher Cox. And he has improved tremendously and showed his worth. The fact that this group of 4 guys can possibly, with one game left to go, they have to win one more football game. They can go from incredible Philadelphia sports heroes, because Lane has done so much than just play through injuries on the football field and be dominant in his position. But we know about the vocal side of the mental health and how much he has impacted society, letting everyone know it's okay to struggle. It's okay to go through things. BG, I watched a special on him where he was helping out so many people in the community. People who needed help with so many different things in their lives. Like, these guys were heroes outside of if they were to win 2 Super Bowls. But talk about legacy difference. If they're able to get 2 Super Bowls with the Eagles, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Brian Westbrook, Brian Dawkins. There's so many guys in this franchise that we admire and love, as we should, and we will continue to love those guys. One football game away, though, and we're talking 2. It's hard to fathom. And you start to wonder, while I know this is a little bit longer view, but do we have anyone on this team that you could see in the future being someone like them? In 2030, we're speaking about Landon Dickerson. We're talking about Jordan Mailata. The same way we talk about Lane and Kelce. And I think specifically looking at that left side of the line is fair. I think that's in play. I think it's very possible. That might be where I kind of settle. Josh Sweat, Jordan Davis. You know what? On the defensive side, yeah. You signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but, you know, I don't know if that's a long-term thing the same way as these other ones. But Jordan Davis and Josh Sweat, it's extremely possible. It's pretty damn impressive, though, because right now is the time, while you still have these players, to reboot. That's why this upcoming draft is massive for Howie Roseman. Because you start Devontae Smith. You start adding this. And A.J. Brown's not old, but you keep replenishing. So whenever these guys do end up leaving eventually, whether Kelce does after winning another and leaving the game on top or not, You got to keep the cycle moving. Keep the cycle going. Part of me thinks with Jason Kelce, because year after year after year after year, we know what the speculation is in the offseason. You would think if they could do it again, that's the proper time. You saw him with his daughters and the confetti. I watched him and his brother on the podcast, and I thought it was awesome. Really fun conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it all. And I don't watch every episode of their show, to be fair. I tune into one with Hurts. I tune into the one with Mahomes. I tune into this one. It's super entertaining. But you start to wonder, would it be the perfect time to say goodbye to the game? With that said, though, and it wouldn't be because of play. And no one ever questioned that with Kelce. It was never going to be because he fell apart and couldn't hang on the football field. It would be because he's beat up. It's been a long career. He's played a lot. He's been fighting in those trenches. Snap after snap after snap. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm hurting. At the same time, and I get it, this is blind fan optimism. The resurgence with Jalen Hurts on what this team could do. Let's say he does get a second. Well, hold on a second. Devontae, AJ, Gannon comes back. Steichen's going for a second round of interviews with the Indianapolis Colts, even though it seemed like Jeff Saturday was going to be a lock for them. Maybe you do lose your offensive coordinator, but maybe you bring in Brian Johnson, or he's already there, but you move him up from quarterbacks coach to OC. You keep a lot of the same pieces. Why can't we do this again? 3 sounds better than 2. I'm at the top of my game. I know Hurts is special. Blind fan optimism? No doubt about it. I'm willing to admit that. But it's got to be on the table, no? I don't know. Just something to consider. Just something to consider. But I see a lot of these core pieces that are younger that could blossom into these type of franchise players. And that's important. Which kind of ties perfectly into the Jerry Jones situation. Now, here's what Jerry Jones had to say. This guy's a clown. Anybody who thinks I won't take chances has misread the tea leaves. In essence, we're seeing a couple teams that have had some real success putting it all out there and paying for it later, like in Philadelphia and Los Angeles. It's pretty impressive to have 2 teams in the last 2 years empty the bucket and get to the Super Bowl. But if you miss, it's a long go. I like where we're at right now. More in the middle. What is this guy smoking? What type of drugs does Jerry Jones do? The Eagles have a top 10 pick. They have 2 first-round picks. They're in the Super Bowl with 2 first-round picks, one of them being a top 10 pick. What are you thinking? This is why they're in trouble. And he goes, we like where we're at, right in the middle. You want to be right in the middle? That's embarrassing. You can stay in the middle all you want. That's great. You're not going to go anywhere. The Rams went all out. They got rid of all their picks. They made all these moves. That's not how the Eagles operate. And if he thinks, and if he's saying that, basically because of going to land A.J. Brown, if you utilize first-round draft picks, and if you use picks to trade for premier talent, it doesn't matter if you select those guys in the draft to a degree. I get it. Compensation, how much you're paying them on the cheap, paying someone like A.J. Brown a big contract, but we're not doing that with every player. You get a Devontae Smith. You have a Landon Dickerson. Miles Sanders didn't get the big bucks like you paid Ezekiel Elliott like a damn fool. The Eagles are going to say, okay, goodbye, Miles. Thank you for everything you've done for us. We're not paying you what you want to get. We're not giving you a big bag. James Bradbury, it worked this season. We're not going to afford you. You don't just toss around all this big money to get yourself in some trouble. You have to be methodical about it. But in the case of A.J. Brown, to use picks to get a guy who can be this, you say goodbye to Amari Cooper, and things look different. You got to be methodical with it. You pay the A.J. Brown, you let the Miles Sanders go. You let Amari Cooper go, paid Ezekiel Elliott, and then Tony Pollard ended up being the star of the running back committee. You have no idea how things work in the football world. You don't know how to categorize what's important and what's not. And that's causing you a ton of problems. Going after C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I'm just trying to think, why does he think they're selling out for a Super Bowl this year? Because they made moves? If you don't see the difference in how the Rams went about their business and how Howie Roseman did it, you're clueless, which is perfectly describing who Jerry Jones is. They're going to sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So the players that you might be specifically talking about will be here. AJ, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, they'll be here. Bradbury was always going to be a one-year signing. They did it in the previous year with Steven Nelson. Joseph and Sue were signed off the streets. They were never going to be here anyway next year either. So I'm trying to comprehend what he's even seeing. Because I see a completely different organization than he does. Think about the last time you were really relevant. Get yourself to an NFC Championship game and then talk to us. We're going back to the Super Bowl. We're going back to the Super Bowl, and Jerry Jones is acting like this organization is lost, and they're selling their soul. This team's going to be here for a bit. And I know the locker room had a lot of confidence in 2018, the year after the Super Bowl, saying this team's better and we added more talent. The difference is where the young ones are on this current team. The mold, that felt more like, okay, and I know the quarterback played a big role and he ended up being a flop, which is a massive part of this. But that seemed more of, this is our crew. We need to get it done right now with this crew, where they're at in their age. This is that mix and balance of good veterans with some savvy young players, and the group had a good mesh. Because you have that core of young players with this team, I think goes a longer way for looking ahead in the future than that team did. That team was like, hey, this is what we have, and we need it now. This is a good build with now. It's the combination of both, which gives me more confidence. Plus, Jalen Hurts has 5,000 times the mental strength compared to one Carson Wentz. And when you have a quarterback who can play at this level, you're always in the competition here. All right, I know that there are some calls I want to get to. I asked the question, what did you do this week? How did you get yourself through the last 5 days so we can get to the week of? So I'm excited to hear from you all out there. There's some other things mixed into the folder too, but yeah, I guess my last thing, I mentioned JG, Jonathan Gannon, earlier. That video of him pulling up in the G-Wagon, that was incredible. That made me a JG fan. You heard me? That made me appreciate Jonathan Gannon. But we were speaking about filling the gaps, filling the roles of Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and all these players, right? At head coach, can we fill the Andy Reid spot that we once had? Someone who's here for a long period of time, changes your entire culture for years and years and years. This is more fun. I'm not saying this in a serious light. We have current Hall of Famers on this roster right now. If Nick Sirianni wins one, looking at some coaches that only won one, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, took him a while, but got his Super Bowl. But then there's also Mike McCarthy, Doug Peterson. With Nick Sirianni, what tier does this put him in? I don't know the answer. We have to see way more seasons. But I'm just saying, you get one on your resume, and there's a certain tier of those guys are unbelievable. Andy Reid, Hall of Famer. Mike Tomlin, Hall of Famer. You got Hall of Famers with one Super Bowl. But then you got the Doug P., I think was a fun story. You got yourself a Mike McCarthy. I think he's a bum, but he won with Aaron Rodgers. If he wins one, there's not many with two. And it's hard to win a Super Bowl. Just saying, you win one, you're one away from some serious, serious, serious stuff. And he's a super, super, super young guy. Just fun conversation. Let's not blow this out of proportion and claim that I'm calling Nick Sirianni the best coach to ever live. Anyway, from here, let's rock some calls. Here we go.
Man, what a long week it's been. It's not even over yet. Every day I wake up, I think about the Eagles. I think about them in my dreams when I'm sleeping. I mean, I just can't stop thinking about them. I mean, this might be the best team I've seen in a long time. This is better than the 2017 team. And this team, I think, talent-wise, is better than the Phillies roster. Like, this team has me ready to run through a brick wall every day of the week, honestly. It just sucks that we have to wait a whole other week. I mean, the anticipation, it's insane. I mean, I want to beat Mahomes so bad. I like the Chiefs and all, but this is a big one. This is a big one. If we take out Mahomes and Brady in 6 years, 5, 6 years of each other in the Super Bowl, both of them, man, what a legacy that would be for this franchise.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't even care who they play. The Phillies played the Tampa Bay Rays in 2008. People thought that it would be the Boston Red Sox, and if the Red Sox ended up winning in the ALCS, totally different story for the Fight-Ins. But, you don't go back and say, well, they only played this team. You win the championship, you win the championship. Now, if you win, it's a lot sweeter to go back and say, I beat Brady. But, yeah, anyway, we did do this exercise pretty recently. Not on this show, on the radio. And the best teams that we've had in this city, there was always a flaw in them. The 0-1 Sixers, dude, Allen Iverson, that was fun, okay? That was outrageous. But you knew that there was something off with that team. They weren't complete. The 2008 Phillies were good, but when you saw the full run of that Phillies dynasty, if you will, even though they only got one in there, that wasn't the best team. The best team was the one that ripped our hearts out. The best team, after adding all that starting pitching, that was the one to flop. Donovan McNabb didn't have the full-on weapons. That wasn't a complete roster. There were some fantastic players. But at the wide receiver position, they were flawed. There were some issues there. All the best teams. 2010 with the Flyers. Backup goalie. Hockey's weird. But they had to do it on the last game of the year in a shootout where Brian Boucher to even get into the playoffs, and then they make that run. Down 3-0 to the Bruins, win Game 7. Game 7, they were down a few goals. Cool story, but flaws within that team. This is the first time I look around and I go, they're the best. They are the best, and they made it past where that better Phillies team got to. They're in the game. Go win it. It's a little weird because I've never felt this level of confidence before, but normally I'm worried. Can they do it? Are they going to be able to do it? And maybe when kickoff happens, just the nature of the Super Bowl being as big as it is, it ends up hitting me more. The nerves end up hitting a certain string of mine. But right now, leading up to it, I feel damn good. Damn good. As we should. As we should.
Hey, bros. I want to say I love your content. Sometimes I'll be using your content in my conversations, like your quotes. And maybe I use that as my own. I apologize about that. But I want to talk about Hurts. How everybody talking about Hurts did bad in this game. To me, I'm thinking maybe he did this purposefully. Maybe he didn't worry about his completions as much, but more so he was controlling the game. You know, when they did post routes, he overthrew the ball slightly where only our receiver could get it. when he did some routes to the flat, he underthrew the ball where only our receiver could get it. Is this something that he did consciously? Like, he's just controlling the game? We know that games are dictated by the turnover column. He's like, you know what? Let's not turn over the ball. We're gonna help the defense. If the defense does what they're gonna do, and I'm just not gonna turn over the ball. And if my team gets it, then great. And also the ball that he threw to Devontae Smith. To me, that wasn't that bad of a ball. And Devontae Smith put his hand on it, and he actually caught the ball. At the end, he lost control, but it wasn't a horrible ball. The ball to A.J. Brown in the beginning of the game, a little low, but A.J. caught it. So all these are good plays. Now, you want to see more, but maybe he did it like that purposely, and that's simply what I wanted to say.
Well, I appreciate you enjoying the show and utilizing the things I say in conversation. I'm going to disagree heavily on what you're saying. I love Hurts. I love Hurts. I love Hurts. This dude is unbelievable. It's okay to say he didn't have it. This was not, he didn't try and overthrow A.J. Brown. That throw to Devontae Smith, the one that he had to throw his hand out there, he didn't catch it, and the ball was overthrown. He led A.J. Brown to the outside of the white lines once because the ball wasn't even in play. The only one I think that he did a good job on was the throw to Devontae Smith on the right side of the field where it was a one-on-one type of play. Devontae went up to high point the football. It went through his hands, hit his chest, and I even listened up to the mic'd up show, I think it was last night, and Devontae went to the sidelines or whatever, talking to Hurts, tapping his chest, saying, hey, that's my bad, that's a good ball, I should have that one. But it's okay to love Jalen Hurts and say my man didn't throw the football very well. A.J. Brown on the first drive to have to go down to basically his toes to catch the football, that can't happen. It's not a good throw. Your playmaker made a play for you. Your wide receiver helped out your quarterback. Sometimes your quarterback helps out your wide receiver. Sometimes your wide receiver helps out your quarterback. That's just how it goes. And, he just didn't have a good game throwing the football. Now, when the drive started to become more about the running, his impact showed. He was on it there. And I'm not talking just statistically speaking. I'm talking about controlling the linebackers with the threat of his legs. He had the drive where he was the one keeping the football and taking those yards. Few hits I didn't necessarily love him taking, but it is what it is. That's part of this time of the year. Go win a damn football game and get yourself punched into the Super Bowl. To me, that just sounds like someone who, and with all due respect, and I get this a lot, there's tiers of Jalen Hurts supporters. And there's tiers of Jalen Hurts haters. And because there's so many people for so long that wouldn't admit that he's getting better, well, then the other side of the line where the supporters that say that he never does anything wrong. Both can be true. Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Aaron Rodgers will have bad throws. And you can say Aaron Rodgers missed a throw that he needs to complete. Happens all the time. Mahomes is going to miss a throw that he needs to complete in this Super Bowl. There's going to be a time where someone makes a mistake. Jalen Hurts made some mistakes out there. It's okay to say. That doesn't mean get rid of him. Don't pay him. Trade him. He shouldn't be here. Both can be true. He did enough to win the game when needed. But I think those areas that he struggled throwing the football needs to be cleaned up in the Super Bowl. If you have a chance to hit A.J. Brown to go up 14-0 against Kansas City and you miss that one, I could come back to bite you a little differently than a team without their quarterback after he gets knocked out because of how good Hassan Reddick is, and Kyle Shanahan put a tight end who wasn't even active the week before on him. But yeah, it's okay to say he needs to be better.
Bro, it's Mike C here. I'm taking the over in the Super Bowl. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm thinking it's going to be another game like the Eagles past 5 years ago, in the 30s, maybe 40s. Let me know what you think. Thanks.
All right. I think that they can run the ball on this team, and I think they can pass the ball on this team. I think they can do both. They can control the time. They can keep Patty Mahomes off on the sidelines. They can have Andy Reid going, God, I need the football. Get us the football back. Because they can target both areas on this defense. They should have an easier time throwing the football against this team than they did the 49ers. It's a different beast for sure. I'm saying the 49ers defense is a different beast than Kansas City. Doesn't mean they don't have talented players. They have a better pass rush. I think the 49ers can do a little bit more in their trenches on the defensive line. Granted, this offensive line's the best I've ever seen. But I'm saying they got to the quarterback more than the 49ers did. I think all around, though, the Eagles can have an easier job moving the football on both sides, running and passing, even though they can do a better job getting to the quarterback than the 49ers did. All right, we'll wrap things up here with this one.
Yo, bros, I've just been killing time watching your YouTube channel, watching you on Best Show Ever, and just getting ready for the Super Bowl. Have a good night.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. It's a lot of bros. Go from the YouTube channel to the Best Show Ever. Is that 4.5 hours of this voice and this face? God bless you. I love you. Thank you guys all so much. 1 week down, 1 week to go. You guys are the greatest. I'll talk to you all on the next one.